Welcome to Biz and Banter in the Blue Room with yours truly, Stephanie Hammond. We'll talk business strategy, have a little banter, and I hope you walk away just a little bit more inspired.
I have 2 dogs, and they're both in the other room with my husband. So,
what kind of dogs are they?
Shih Tzu and a poodle.
Okay. What are their names?
Chloe and Cooper.
Aw,
Yeah.
I love that. I wish we could meet them, but at another time.
Another time.
When we met, it was very loud
Yes.
at the Story Slam, at the Pyramid
Yes.
Club, which was so
Yes.
much fun.
Totally.
So do you pronounce your name Elisa? Eliza?
Yes, I do. Elisa.
Okay. Woohoo. Elisa. Okay,
Got
great.
it.
Great. All right. I mean, we were talking and then all of a sudden Queen was singing in our ear because
Yes.
Justin was telling us that it was time to go sit. So we have to continue our conversation.
Definitely.
Super excited for this. You're a brand strategist, you're a copywriter, and so much more. But most recently, I saw a post on LinkedIn. And I love these type of posts, which is what drew me in, because you said, do not work with me if you already know who your clientele is, who your avatar is. Don't work with me if you know what keeps them up at night. So, that got me thinking about how many entrepreneurs that I know and business owners that don't actually know who their clientele is or who they're marketing towards. They're just going to throw everything at the wall, right? And see what
Exactly.
sticks. The politically correct way of me saying that. So for somebody with your expertise, what's the biggest sign that somebody does not know who they should be messaging to?
So that's a great question. And I would say that the biggest tell is that they're speaking about their business, about their services, about their process, but they're not addressing the client's problems. They're not calling out why people are coming to them. And so when they do that, they're really putting themselves first. And I know why they do it. They're doing it to build trust and to get their name out there and visibility and all of that. But honestly, people want to work with vendors, entrepreneurs who understand what they're going through. So if they're talking about, if they're just doing a laundry list of services, they're talking at them and not to them.
It's a great message because I talk to so many people who are genuinely great at what they do, but have a hard time telling that message. And that's tough for some people. It is 2 different skill sets. And that's why you are the expert and you have your business doing this. So for those that, whether it's a social media post, walking into a networking room, and they just freeze, right? They don't know how, and they say, well, I'm a real estate agent. I sell houses. Okay, that's great. That doesn't actually say what you do. What would be your first tip to help people to get past that a little bit?
So I would say that people should try to avoid the jargon. Don't talk way up here how you talk to the people who you go to conferences with, where they get your language and they get what you're saying, right? Like you want to talk to them from where they're coming from. You don't want to use a lot of jargon. You don't want to use a lot of acronyms. You just lose people immediately. Or,
So true.
right?
Yeah.
Or if you're super generic, then it's also, like you said, I sell houses. But it's not just about selling houses. It's about taking people on that journey and helping them with decluttering and finding their new home or a big move, or there's like all these nuances that go into it. So you want to really focus on what you specialize in versus just using a lot of words and phrases that, number one, your competitors are using, and number two is just kind of like go over people's head, like they lose interest quick.
It's a really good point. Did you say something that if I don't relate to it, then what follows is I'm probably not listening too intently with that.
Yeah.
You help both small businesses and nonprofits. How do you differentiate the storytelling or peeling back the layers of the story for 2 different, in my opinion, 2 very different business models? One is philanthropy. You're looking for fundraising, you're looking for monetary donations. And then the other, the small business, marketing themselves. So what do you do first to delineate that?
So for small businesses, you're speaking to the buyer who's going to benefit from whatever it is that you are offering. The nonprofit, you are asking them to help with somebody else's transformation. You're asking them to help someone else, to better someone else's lives, to better their environment, to cure an illness, cure cancer, to build a house, whatever it is, clean water. You are asking them to invest in someone else's life and help them better themselves or repair the world. Like there's different. So the way to do that is, I always tell small businesses, don't start talking about yourself right away. Talk about the customer. But with a nonprofit, I shifted and say, talk about yourself. How did you get into this? Why? What is your why? Why is this important and why should a donor care? There's so many great causes out there. So why this one, right? And then you double down on all those stories and talk about the people that you help and the research you're funding and and how it's making a difference and where the money is going to make the world a better place. So it is a shift. It's similar storytelling principles, but the why and who you're speaking to and really knowing who that ideal client, that ideal person is really, it really comes into play.
That's a very smart answer. And I just learned something from it myself. I wasn't looking at it that way. And that's why I asked you the question. And when somebody's trying to, well, thank you. When somebody is trying to tell their story, right? Like an entrepreneur, and it's not a product, it's not a bottle of water.
Right.
And I think that it's hard for a lot of people because they feel like they don't want to talk about themselves. So your advice of talking about the client is spot on because it alleviates a lot of that, like, oh my gosh, am I being too, conceited or what am I doing here? I'm putting myself out there too much. Well, if you do it with the lens of this is what I can do for you, then it's different. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, exactly. But with a nonprofit, when you tell your story, usually a founder had something happen to them or someone close to them. And so that's the hook that is, and I don't mean to be crass about it, but you're trying to get people invested in what you're doing and and the problem that you're solving and the people that you're helping. And in order to do that, you have to start with your own why. You really have to know and be able to share what that story is and then have it resonate with your potential donors, in a way that they're going to say, oh God, that really is important. I really, I want to learn more and I want to help. I want to get involved.
And I don't think you're being crass at all. And you can be as crass as you want on this call. Also, was that Chloe or Cooper who's whining at your door?
I'm sorry. I think it was Cooper.
You don't have to be sorry.
I was hoping you didn't hear that.
One of my, it's a blessing and a curse is I have extremely good hearing. And I wish I didn't at times because I can hear multiple conversations happening around me. But anytime it's an animal, I'm in. Like, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. So I have a lot of cats at home, so I don't get that noise that you have going on right there. So you offer something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but called a story start call?
Story starter call. I just started doing this with people.
Okay. All right. Story starter call. Say that 5 times fast.
Yes.
So a 30-minute call, somebody who's interested in your services, small business or a nonprofit. What does the 30 minutes look like? What are you peeling back that maybe the business owner hasn't thought about before?
So what I'm trying to accomplish is 2 things. One is for them to realize how important their ideal client profile is. If they are going to talk about their business, if they're going to have copy on their website that resonates or their social media posts, it's so important to know who they're talking to. I like to use the example with this ideal client profile, this hair salon. There's one hair salon that says we have great products and they're eco-friendly and they're super healthy and we want to bring out the best in you. And then there's another hair salon that says no bad hair days. Right? Yep. So who are you going to go to? You're going to
go bad hair days.
Right. Like that's me. I had a bad hair day. I get that, so you want to know who you're talking to and what their pain points are. So in the call, we talk about that a little bit, and usually I can tell whether or not they have it, like they've done it before and they've got that person, or if we need, and if they don't, then that's okay too, because I'll ask them some questions to get them to get the ball rolling for them to think about it.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can talk about what stories they want to share, and hopefully my goal is for them to come away with one or two stories. Normally they're transformation stories. Like, what did people come to you with? What problem did they come to you with? And how did you help them? And then what's the end result, right? So that's like a great story that you can use on LinkedIn, on a blog, on a case study. And people
Yeah.
don't realize that those are the stories that I want to hear as a potential client, right? So I want them to leave the call knowing that they need to know who their ideal client is and how important that is. And I want them to know, I want them to have a story to share. And then at the end, we talk about how maybe we can work together. We have a really great time just sort of talking about something that really a lot of entrepreneurs just don't have the time
Yep.
to think about. So it's giving them that opportunity to really sit and talk to someone who wants to help them get that story out.
And focus on that.
That focus time.
Yeah, that's huge. No bad hair days. As a marketing major, that's going to stick in my head now because it's so impactful. The first thing, marketing 101 is who's your target market?
Yeah.
You can't market if you don't know who you're marketing to.
Exactly.
Right. And so speaking of stories, I have to ask. So we were at the Story Slam last week.
Yeah.
Did you throw your name in the hat? I didn't ask you that. Okay.
I didn't. I have plenty of stories to tell.
Okay.
I mean, that's my business.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was curious.
I did not put my name in the hat, but it really inspired me to do it another time. So if she does it again, I think I would, like on the way home, I was starting to think about stories that I could share that would be really, really cool to do. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, then I'll hold you to that because I as well will throw my name in.
Awesome.
I didn't know if I'd be there on time, so that was my excuse for not putting my name in there. And I know Julia is going to be taking the reins with this, so I'm excited to see where she's going to go with it. Well, awesome. I hope we both get to tell our story next time. Or a story. So before moving into something a little bit more personal, I want to leave anybody who's listening with something practical. You've already given a lot of really great tips. I mean, no bad hair days, think about how that can translate to what you do. I'm going to go Google that to see what hair salon that was. But what's a question that anybody listening who's a business owner, entrepreneur, what's a question they can ask themselves to make sure that they're really speaking to who they should be speaking to?
Right. Okay. So I think you have to read your copy out loud and say to yourself, does this sound like me? Is this how I talk to people? Or is this what AI is telling me to say?
Yep.
And AI is a tool, and I think it's great for first drafts, but I think that it needs to really have some tweaking in order to have a final draft that really sounds like you, because people are savvy and they can tell the difference. So that's the thing that I always tell people is look at what you're putting out there and say to yourself, is this how I want to present myself? Does it sound like me? Is this how I talk to people? Or can I put a little bit more personality, maybe some humor, maybe just like a small story, something that's going to be truly authentic to yourself and your business.
Great advice. Read it out loud, because we read it in our heads. And if we're going to sit here and we're going to work with AI, again, it's a great tool. It's a great assistant to have. It's not the expert though. That's why somebody hires you. But if you're reading it in your head and you just continue to read what they're getting, it's going to become normalized to you.
Yeah.
So reading it out loud, then would I actually say it that way? So I think that's really great advice. Really great advice. Cool. Now my Facebook is going to hear me talking more as I read out loud, but so I'm going to shift a little bit. Every industry has a set of rules, quote unquote. What's something for your industry, storytelling, that you had to unlearn?
Okay. Yeah. So I would say people tell me, and I used to hate it when people would say this to me. They say people don't read.
Yep.
People just don't, right? People don't read. They don't have time to read, and they just don't read. And as a writer, it breaks my heart, right?
Yeah.
However, it's not that they don't read, and this is what I had to unlearn. It's not that they don't read, it's that they consume information differently.
Mm.
So you have to write it in a way that they can scan the information. So whether it's a bullet list or a top 10 ways to not have a bad hair day,
Yeah, totally.
like, or a carousel with a lot of images and captions that go with it. So you just have to be creative about how you're putting the information out there. Another thing is, I know that if people see a wall of text on a website, forget it. They're going somewhere else. They don't want to read some really long paragraphs. They want it's got to be bite sized. They have to chunk it out so that people can digest it quickly and so that it resonates. So that is something I had to really make sure that in my own head, if I told myself that nobody reads what I write, I'd be out of business. And it's not true.
Right. No, it's
Really
not.
not true. It's just the way that people absorb it nowadays is what I had to just put front of mind when I'm writing.
Yeah. And consumer behaviors changing every single day, right? At such a fast rate. I mean, it always has, but it's even faster now.
Yeah.
And going back to they don't read, well, if they're not reading what you wrote in the way that you wrote it, then it wasn't a priority. So
Right.
and I always say that you give them those snippets, those hooks, those bullets. Well, if it's something that they're going to go more into, I dove into your website because you had your one page with the red pen. I won't get into that because I'll ask about that in a little bit. And the way it was set up was totally digestible, but it made me want to read more.
And that's the whole thing. That's the whole game right there,
Well done.
I'm done.
Mic drop. Red pen drop. Red pen drop.
That's right.
In building off of that, even with consumer behavior, our version of success or what we think success is, it looks different. If you look back 5 years, 10 years, and 5 years is hard because it was 2021. We were coming off of 2020. So success was a lot different for many of us back then. Maybe it was just getting out of bed and that was a successful day. Great.
Right.
How is as a storyteller, how has success changed for you? Your version of success?
I would say that 5 years ago, my success depended on my to-do list. So getting things done, checking it off all day long, right? Just check off, I did that, I did this, I did the other thing. Okay, this is going to go for tomorrow because I have to do this other thing. And so success for me would look like how much of that list did I get done? And, whether you have a good day or a bad day really was based on those accomplishments. And now I feel like it has really changed for me as an entrepreneur because now success for me looks very different. It's the person that comes to me and gives me a testimonial, a great Google review, right? Or a testimonial on LinkedIn, or I put that post up on LinkedIn and it did very well. Sometimes I put things on LinkedIn and it's crickets, right? Like nobody says anything and it's just like, okay, that didn't work.
Right.
But success for me is looking at those little accomplishments because it's all baby steps when we're doing things like this. It's still about lists, but I actually started writing down like the small, instead of checking things off, I'm actually making myself lists to remind myself of the small wins that I'm getting.
I love that.
Yeah.
It sounds like you went from tasks to impact, right?
Yes.
This is the impact that you're making on people's lives. I love that though. Because I've always been very task oriented or to-do list oriented. And that's because of the way my brain is wired. If I don't write it down, then I'm going to go down, 18 other paths. So I also have a wish list, right? That's where all the ideas that come out, they go onto that page. Am I remarkable? But I love the idea of writing down all of those small wins.
By the way, I still have plenty of to-do lists. Plenty. So many lists, but it's not live or die that I'm successful that day because I accomplished everything on that list. It just doesn't work that way for me anymore. But they're still there and I'll get to them, but that's not how I measure success for myself.
And I think that's, we could get existential and whatnot with this. I would venture that your ultimate goal in helping people has never changed. It's just the way in which you do it now looks
Correct.
differently because
Yes.
your passion for storytelling, my passion for supporting whoever's in front of me achieve their version of success however I can.
Right.
That's always been my goal, but the way I go about it is different.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It is very. And I mean, so I was in the martial arts for 30 years. I haven't practiced in the last 2.5, 3 years. But I always said to students and older generations always said to me, you're a different black belt in every single decade. If you happen to get your black belt before you're 20, well, then in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, you're a very different black belt. And a black belt is an expert. It's a white belt who never gave up, right? That's the definition of a black belt. So when you think about success in business as well, it's the same thing throughout each decade. You and we should talk in 10 years and see what success looks like to us.
Right.
That would be fascinating, right?
Yeah, it really would be.
It's probably going to be 2 AI versions of us anyway, and we don't even have to have the conversation. So,
No, don't say that.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. Are you kidding? My personality, no. AI's not taking this loud mouth away from me.
That's right. It can't replace us.
No, it can't. It can't replace the connections. That's the biggest thing. We can do all of these other things, but that connector can't do it. That energy that you and I felt before, Queen started singing in my ear, Justin was amazing, by the way.
Oh my God.
I almost
I'm
cried.
following him now.
I am too.
Yeah.
I love him. And his
So
story.
talented.
Yeah. I mean, what a treat. What a treat.
Yeah.
Anyways, so just in going back to, I did look through your website and I saw why it's called Red Pen Resources, correct?
Yes.
So has there been anybody in your life that has inspired you? And this is total leading question because I read this, but I want to hear it from you. But that inspired you to start the business or that, just continues with everything you do with storytelling?
Yeah. So Red Pen Resources, people tried to talk me out of the name, by the way, because the red pen has that bad connotation of, in high school, somebody marked up my paper and I felt terrible about it. But so Red Pen Resources comes from my dad, who is a retired middle school teacher who had a red pen over his ear or on a clipboard or on the floor of our car, always had red pens everywhere. And he uses his red pens with kindness, compassion, and to help his students be better people and present themselves in the best way that they can. So maybe not better people, but to present themselves in the best way that they can. And so I embrace that philosophy. I always tell my clients that I look at things with a critical eye, but never as a critic. I love to collaborate with people. I don't want to, be the expert on on high that says you must do it this way. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different story. But my dad, he instilled that kindness and acceptance of people, meeting them where they are and really helping them be the best they can be. And so all of that is what I embrace. I've always known that he's been sort of the inspiration behind a lot of different parts of my life. But when it came to naming my company, I ignored everybody else who said, "Oh, don't name it that. That's terrible. Why would you do that?" Because that's my story.
I love it. And it is a story to tell, and it's one that people are going to want to hear. Why'd you name it that? Boom, right into it. I love it. I love that.
Thank you.
To your dad.
Yeah, thank you.
So as a storyteller, is there a hill that you would die on, that you would defend, no matter what anybody says? And what would that be?
So as a storyteller, I am also a really big reader. And my favorite way to read is with audiobooks. And a lot of people will say that that's not really reading. And I disagree completely. I find it that I focus even more within the story. I'm not turning the pages of a physical book. I'm not swiping ahead to see how it ends or whatever. I'm in the moment, and I'm focused and I spend that time and energy to really listen. And also it's entertaining because the narrators are professional narrators and they know how to tell a story. And whenever anybody says to me that audiobooks aren't real reading, I just want to say, have you ever listened to one?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's such an experience that you're it's such a different way of hearing a story. It's something different about hearing it and doing it like from a book or from a Kindle or something like that. And I just, whenever anybody says that, I'm like, no, 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 it counts. It counts toward my Goodreads goal. It counts toward my, it totally counts. And I don't want to hear it.
Well, anytime somebody questions me for calling an audiobook a book, I'm going to say, well, listen, Elisa Heisman said that it is a book,
Yeah.
and
Come see me.
yeah, you handle my light load. And it's funny you say that they're professional narrators. Every once in a while, though, you get a book and you're like, good God, who approved you to be able to read
Oh,
this
yeah.
story? Like, what are
Yes.
we doing? But then other ones, I mean, I do a lot of business building books. And so Chris Voss narrates Never Split the Difference. Mel Robbins narrates Let Them. And
Right.
you will not get the same experience reading the actual book, listening to it in their voice, almost
Yeah.
tear jerking and different things. So you're right. It's a different experience. And you know what? We all learn differently, whether it's auditory
Yeah.
or visually. So if that's how we consume it, I love it. That's a
And
great hill to,
I still have a book in my hand too, don't get
yeah.
me wrong. But I actually read more books when I'm listening to them because I'm like, usually I'm doing the dishes or I'm doing the laundry or something, or walking the dogs, and
Yeah.
that, I can listen and enjoy it, so it's nice.
I love that. So speaking of audiobooks, you listen to it on your phone while you're doing other things. What kind of habit might you pick up if somebody took your phone for a week?
Who's
It's a
taking
very,
my phone?
I'm coming, I don't know. Your husband. It's a very weird thing to think about, not having your phone for a week. What do
Yes.
what do
Yes.
you think you would do?
So after the convulsions subside, from being not having my phone with me at
Where
all
are my
times,
audiobooks? I need my audiobooks. Yeah.
um, So I'm a talker. I love people. I
No.
think that I would probably start talking to more strangers and like annotate my life, like, oh, I spilled coffee on my sweater and so I had to change it. Like this is something I would text somebody because I was annoyed that just happened and I was 15 minutes late, So that would go from like texting it to somebody to like checkout line conversation.
Okay. All right. It's very interesting to think about because I think that's actually what we used to do before cell phones took over our lives. Yeah, it's interesting. I know my husband makes fun of me because I talk to every single person
Right.
that is in front of me. And he's like, you make friends wherever you go. I'm like, well, technically they're not my friends yet. But
Right.
like this is being human. This is the thing, your phone and AI and all these things. It can't replace it. All right. So I'm going to ask one more question because I want to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
And as a storyteller, what's a guilty pleasure that you have that if I scheduled a story starter call with you, you're not going to be like, hey, guess what? I watch Below Deck every night of the week. That might be one of mine. Not every night, but what's a guilty pleasure you have? That's,
Okay, I've never really shared this, like, in a professional, like kind of a podcast setting like this.
I'll take my blazer off. No.
Or in the speaking gigs that I do. So, so be prepared. I am a Disney adult.
I love that. I think that's great.
So we used to take our kids a lot and then they outgrew it and we never did.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so great. Wait, how old are your kids?
They're older now. They're adult. They're out of the house. And actually they haven't really outgrown it because they've kind of gotten the Disney bug like we have. But, when we say, oh, we're going to Disney, they're like, again, like, weren't you just there? But there's just something about it. We have a really good time. We love the restaurants. It really is kind of magical and there isn't really anywhere where you get that kind of feeling of being a kid again. I
It's the
really feel like
magic
I'm
of
in kind of that
Disney.
Disney bubble when I'm in the parks and kind of emails and other responsibilities are further away. So
I love that.
so we are official. We are Disney adults, and I don't think that's something that I could come right out and say in a meeting.
I mean, maybe that could be part of your story for the Story Slam.
I will think about that.
It could be a good opener.
It
Who's
could
ever been to
be.
Disney?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm originally from South Florida. So Disney was field trips, right? We
Mhm.
went on field trips to Disney. How many times do you go?
We have gone how many times we probably go like every other year.
Okay. If you were going to
Uh,
say like 5 or 6 times a
n-
year.
no, it's not like that. It's not like that. Um, but I think that's
That's amazing.
that's a decent amount. When you ask people if they've been to Disney, sometimes they go like, "Oh yeah, we went with our kids once, and we went on our
Yep.
high school trip, and maybe one other time." But I mean, it's we've definitely been there more as adults without our kids than with them, just because we have a good time. We have a
I
good
think
time.
that's so. I mean, listen, where else can you go where you're visiting other countries, right?
Yes,
At the same time where you're in
yes,
your country.
yes.
So fun. It's so
Fun.
fun.
It's just
You're ma-
fun.
you're making me want to go back because
Yeah,
I haven't been there, took advantage of it, a little bit when you're living there type thing.
right.
That's so fun. So never have a bad hair day and I got to go to Disney.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
you are in Montgomery County. So I'm going to ask you the
Yes.
same question I ask everybody as I end it. If somebody was visiting Montgomery County, what restaurant would you tell them they have to go to?
So there is, now I have to remember the name of it. Shoot.
I lived in Montgomery County for about 12 years. So if you start describing it, I might be able to pull it out.
So it's in Glenside, and it's this little Italian restaurant. I want to say Trevi, but I don't know if that's right. But it's
Should we get out our phones? I'm
yeah.
kidding. I'm joking.
It's homemade pasta. You're there to dine. When you walk in, you're kind of like, it looks like a pizza shop in the front, but in the
Yeah.
back, it's their tables and everything's homemade. It was like being in Little Italy. It was just, the food was fantastic. The atmosphere, it was just lovely. And
Wow.
yeah, and during COVID, like we would order from there for a treat and that kind of thing. Just to, I love supporting small businesses. So instead of, not that there's any more Olive Gardens around, but instead of Olive Garden, I would go there, So
There's one near me. I'm in Chester County. There is one near
okay,
me. But I hear what you're saying, and we'll find out the name and throw it in the description of this, just
okay,
so
great.
they get their appropriate shout outs. So Story Starter Call, if somebody wants to schedule that with you, how do they connect with you?
So go to my website, which is www.redpenresources.com, and you can book a meeting with me. And the first meeting that pops up is the Story Starter Call.
I love it. I think
Yeah.
it's great. And I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking me. This is great.
Yeah, no, this was fun. And I can't wait till we're both telling our stories at the next Story Slam. So
See you there.
got to start practicing.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, share it with a friend.